Welcome back to Yang Daily. I'll be your host, Alex Cheney, bringing you all the Yang news you need to live your life right. Running through quite a few items today and a lot of UBI, and I gotta get some sleep, so let's get to it. Quick shout out to our Tier 3 patrons, Shay Meehan and Nathan Stankowski, as well as all our other patrons. You keep us all informed and engaged. If any of you out there want to join these advocates of humanity first and independent journalism, head on over to patreon.com/YangDaily. It would only take a couple of bucks a month from each listener to keep this podcast and community going and growing into the future. Now on to the news. We have another preliminary update on the GOP's immoral UI experiment courtesy of the Census Bureau's Pulse Survey. It shows the mid-June expirations of pandemic UI have kicked a lot of people off of it, but has only made things worse in the first 2 to 3 weeks following the expiration. In the 12 states that cut unemployment benefits in mid-June, 60% of UI recipients were removed from the program, but the employment rate declined by 1.4%, while employment rose 0.2% in states that did not cut UI. So the cuts appear to have had the opposite of the GOP's supposedly desired effect, lowering employment instead of raising it. They did, however, increase self-reported hardship, so got that going. Apparently, Bezos has decided to hand off some of his wealth to other people to give away. As luck would have it, two of Yang's friends, TV personality Van Jones and philanthropic chef Jose Andre, were the recipients of $100 million each, apparently to do what they will with. I think we know Jose will put it toward disaster relief efforts. Maybe Van can be convinced to put some of it toward UBI. He's certainly been an advocate thus far. Yang will be speaking at the September Micromobility America Conference at Pier 70 in San Francisco, which explores ideas for better urban centers and a more sustainable world. Congress passed 2 tranches of rental relief in December and March, allocating $47 billion. We are now less than 2 weeks from the end of the eviction moratorium. You want to guess how much of that has been distributed to Americans? 6.5% of the $47 billion, or $3 million. Wow. The Treasury distributed the funds to state and local programs, many of which had to be created on the fly, to pass on to residents in need. This is why conditional programs, and also leaving distribution to states, is bad. Instead of simply giving money to everyone, a total mess was made of throwing money at a bunch of non-existent systems to try and figure out who needs it and deliver it. And state officials that don't approve will purposely sabotage it. Same as happened with small business loans, same as happens with all conditional welfare. Enough. Universal is the only functional method. We've tried and erred with this plenty of times. Now it's time for the learning from it part. Aarika Rhodes is apparently just $20,000 away from qualifying from a primary debate with competitor Congressman Sherman. If you'd like to help her try to bring UBI to DC, now's a good time to donate. She also accepts Bitcoin. Speaking of which, the DC City Council just voted through a bill to raise marginal taxes on the rich and, among other things, use that money to create what they are calling a basic income. In actuality, it's an expansion of the state's earned income tax credit, which raises the amount and makes it monthly, but it still excludes the poorest. So, limited progress. Doesn't meet the definition of a basic income because it still has basically employment conditions, but progress nonetheless. South Africa is looking increasingly likely to be the first nation to achieve UBI. With unemployment over 40%, riots over food shortages are putting intense pressure on the government to act, and the president is eyeing UBI as a way to stabilize and save lives. I don't endorse rioting, but it certainly tends to accompany most big policy changes in history. I'd like to say that I prefer non-violently interfering in the lives of politicians directly to impress upon them the magnitude of the need and break them out of their selfishness or ignorance. But one way or another, they often need a kick in the pants to get them out of the status quo. Alexandria's city council is currently debating how to use the $30 million of COVID relief funding, and one option that they're considering is a $3 million UBI pilot. It would offer $500 a month for 2 years to 150 low-income families. So if you live in the city, let the council members know your thoughts. Finally, Albuquerque has a petition to get their mayor to join Mayors for AGI. Take a minute to add your name at the link below. And that'll do it for today's Yang Daily. Bookmark and share the UI effects, the rent relief disaster, Aarika's fundraising, the DC bill, the African UBI, the Alexandria pilot, and the Albuquerque petition. Flood Congress with calls, tweets, faxes, and letters using the ResistBot or Income Movement easy contacts below. If you need help, consult Humanity Forward, the Income Movement Aid Database, the Mission Asset Fund, or United Way, and don't forget to Yang Daily.